You never got started before.
I got the live up there. We got an eyeball. Hey, eyeball.
Don't see.
Oh. I didn't even see this one. Oh, this is it right here, right? Turn the sound down. I know we try to give y'all time to come into the room. That's why when y'all first come in, it's a little quiet. With a little audio and music in the back.
If we did StreamYard, this would be like 10, 9, 8, 7.
Yes, this would. Come on in the room.
Raining.
Got some new things going on this week. Some new equipment, right? Trying to step our game up. Everybody know ministry ain't free, right? So we're slowly putting our coins together, hoping that this podcast can grow. So we want y'all to continue to hit like, share it, turn on notifications so you know when we go live or when we post about going live. If you're not already on our our YouTube, make sure you head over there.
Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you know when we post another video. Missed any lives? Go to our YouTube, Love's Compassion Ministries.
We also have Love's Compassion on Instagram, where we tend to upload, if not an inspirational message, we might just upload a brief clip from these videos that can also direct you to the YouTube channel. We're still trying to allow a couple people to come in. What is it, 6:03? I'll give y'all 2 more minutes. 6:05, we're going to hit start and move forward from there. As y'all come in the room, please let us know if you can hear us. We did, like we said, we did get new equipment because we're trying to make sure that the recording is recorded well in volume, but also you guys can hear us in the Facebook Live as well. So let us know if you have any trouble hearing us. These microphones are supposed to help with that. Is that light up? Do you feel like we're in the dark? I mean, not in the dark, just a bit. Yeah, dark. Too bright?
No.
Do not put shades on. It's too bright. Just tell me, I'll take it down. Usually, you know, we come to you guys on Saturdays. I try to make it pretty much the weekend, but our goal is to consistently come to you on Saturdays. But of course, things happen. You know, life happens. We had Resurrection Sunday a couple weeks ago. We had Little Man's birthday last week. My wife's birthday is this weekend, so things come up. But I try to make sure we still see you guys within the days in which circle around our original date. As of right now, we go live on Saturdays or the weekends at 6 p.m. We'll let you know if it's not going to be Saturday. And we'll be releasing the podcast on Wednesdays. Once we drop the first podcast for you guys, if you've been following us, it's going to be a repeat because we'll be releasing podcasts that we've done lives already on, that we've edited down for the podcast. So those are going to be released every Wednesday. As soon as we release them, we will let you guys know. We'll put the links into the comments or in the description on YouTube as well as on Facebook so you guys can check it out. All right.
How do you get me to that screen?
What screen?
Oh, you downloaded Facebook, that's right.
Yeah. I am Tashara, your host of Love's Compassion Ministries. So I gotta do it again. This is real life, guys. This is real life. So this is what it is. I didn't hit record for the podcast, so therefore we gotta do this again. Hi. Jay.
It already been recording.
Yeah, but we gotta edit it.
Alright. 3, 2, 1.
My perfectionist over here. Hi. My name is Tashara of Love's Compassion Ministries. I am your host, and here's my co-host
Of Love's Compassion Ministries, Jedediah, but you can always call me Jay, and I hope you have a good day.
Let's not forget, guys, for those who haven't already heard, we also do this on YouTube where we'll repost what we have here, and we also will be releasing these on podcast streaming platforms. Once we do that, we'll put the links in the descriptions of these videos. Jetty likes to say, head over to YouTube.
Leave a like on our videos. Make sure you subscribe. Put those post notifications on so you know when we post another video. If you missed the live, it's when you go to YouTube. We will be publishing our podcast. So if you missed the live, you can also listen to it.
All right, today we're discussing the topic of
Abuse.
there are many different forms of abuse.
Many.
So I ended up going in this direction because the second episode, or rather the second publication of Love's Compassion magazine, which was where we originally started. This is the logo, but magazine was what we were before. The second issue was on abuse. So, you know, we had writers touch base, giving live testimonies and such where they generated stories that they might have went through, knew someone who went through it, what have you. So I said, you know, let's see what the little man over here think about the topic of abuse. And Jay, what'd you come up with?
Well, like you did say, there are many
Types
of abuse. Yes, forms of abuse, which include physical, sexual, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, economic abuse, cultural abuse, and identity abuse.
Some of them things that you name, and I didn't even really think about. Identity abuse? I'm assuming like you looked up what's identity abuse.
Well, no, actually, identity abuse is cultural abuse.
Cultural
Abuse.
Go ahead. I'll deal with that.
Economic abuse also goes with financial abuse, psychological abuse goes with mental abuse, and emotional abuse can go with verbal abuse. The other way around, actually.
I want to know what cultural abuse is. Can you tell me what that is?
Yes.
I guess he's looking up cultural abuse. In the between time, I just want to give just a little background on the word abuse. So the origin of the word abuse is Latin. It comes from ab, which is A-B, which stands for away. And then I might be pronouncing this incorrectly, abutee or abutai, abuse, which means misused. So the old French UT or UT, I'm not sure how you want to pronounce that. UTI is the spelling of it, is to use. So abuse. Now we have the late Middle English via Old French form from Latin abuse, which is misused, from the verb abutare, from ab, away. So the way that word is broken down from my interpretation of what I'm reading, right? So abuse is the way we use something or misuse something, and the word away. So a way that we misuse something, wrongfully misuse something, or wrongly misuse something, by way of definition. That's Google.
What we think of today is, when we think of abuse today, you can think of like, abuse is when someone can cause someone harm or distress. It can takes many forms, as we said, ranging from disrespect to causing someone physical or mental pain. Now, you wanted to know what cultural abuse was.
Mm-hmm.
Cultural abuse occurs when, like you said, abusers use aspects of a victim's culture, identity, or spirituality to inflict a suffering or as a means of control.
Would it be too much to say what's an example of that?
No. An example of cultural abuse is not letting someone observe the dietary or dress customs of their faith using racial slurs, threatening to out someone as LGBTQ if their friends and family don't know, or isolating someone who doesn't speak the dominant language where they live. All of those are examples of cultural abuse.
I never thought about that form of abuse. Thank you for that information. You know what's crazy is I'm sorry guys, there's someone who's trying to get on the live and I'm trying to help them, and I'm using my other phone to do it. Ignore 90. That wasn't supposed to happen.
And if you are listening to our podcast, just to let you know, if we don't cut this part out, we are also live on Facebook. So any feedback or questions or commentary that you hear us talking about that may confuse you, we are probably talking to our Facebook Live.
The first thing that came to mind for me, believe it or not, which is interesting considering I've actually experienced different forms of abuse in my life, but the first thing that came to mind for me falls on the self-care. Carol, please let me know if you've been able to get into the page, because I'm finding myself a bit stuck trying to get you in, which is causing me to be just a little distracted. But let me know if you were able to get in, please. I tagged you in the comments. Again, please let me know if you were able to get in. Love the background music. I wonder if the background music is what she was hearing here, or when the baby swing was going on. That was the baby's swing that you guys were hearing, the jazz music or classical music. So self-care was the first thing that came to mind for me when it came to the topic of abuse. Why is that the first thing that came to mind? I myself attend therapy. I'm pro-therapy. I think I've said this before in previous podcasts. I am very pro-therapy. I'm a person who believes in getting the help when you need the help, or being proactive and getting the help before situations become unbearable. So I attend therapy, and one of the things that we're dealing with me right now is self-care. Anyone who knows me knows I stay busy. I am on the move constantly. Even though right now I'm out of work because we just had a baby, usually I'm at work. All right, I'm at work 16 hours a day between traveling to and from work. That's about another 3 hours plus, because it's a little over an hour to get there, and then rush hour traffic coming home takes that ride to pretty much almost 2 hours, give or take. So again, 16 hours at work, another 3 to 4 hours in traveling. There's only 24 hours in a day. Where am I getting sleep? I still got to come home and be a mom. Still got to come home and be a wife. I like to make sure that my family can eat. So while my wife does step in and do some cooking, I have to put the phone on do not disturb, guys. Sorry about that. While my wife does step in and do, I am predominantly the cook in the house because I love to do it. And she's not a big fan of it, so I cook. So Jay, do me a favor. If I'm talking, you keep track of the comments because we both look real dumbfounded just now. It's like we just stopped at the comment. So one of the things that my therapist is constantly saying, every time I talk to you, I'm hearing about what you're doing for everyone else. What are you doing for yourself? So we've been trying to get me to do self-care. Now, why I thought about abuse is because I'm a person that tends to band-aid things for myself. I'm all about solutions when it comes to everybody, but for me, it's normal and it's natural to take care of everyone else. When it comes to myself, I'm a band-aid kind of gal. What do I mean by that? I vape. That's my struggle right now. It's been 2 days since I have vaped nicotine, and I say that because I even bought healthy vapes trying to come off of the nicotine vapes. So the healthy vapes have vitamins in them, and I vape that instead. I need to stop altogether. My lungs is being abused by my vaping, and I'm trying to quit, but I'm struggling. Struggling with that. How many people out there? I'm going to pose this as a question as we continue to speak. I'm also going to pose this as a question. How many people out there deal with abusing the one vehicle that we get to drive in this thing called life? Your vessel, your body. That can be alcohol abuse. That can be smoking of any kind. That can be putting garbage within your body, meaning not eating properly, not giving it the nutrients it's supposed to have, the vitamins it's supposed to have, the hydration. I don't do any of these things. I'm working on it. I'm trying, but I struggle with it all. The hydration is supposed to have. So I thought of self-care because technically, by way of definition, wrongfully using my body, I'm abusing myself. And I didn't think about that as a form of abuse initially. My thing is, if I'm taking care of everybody else, then all is well. I'm doing well. But I didn't realize how much I'm not doing well for myself, to the point where, honestly, when I had to sit down and really digest it, go over, look at, self-analyze, I actually started crying because I didn't realize, for me, it's difficult to take care of me. Easy to take care of everybody else. It's normal, natural. Very difficult to take care of me. Let me know in the comments. Anybody else who struggles with that. What did Miss Carol say?
Well, Miss Carol said, I'm in broad subject. What makes me sad is that women feel that we have to take it, be it physical or mental. Traditionally, we're not taught to love ourselves first, so when someone comes along and we just need a little attention, we get lost in loving ourselves because we believe that your partner can love for the both of us.
So that goes into relationship abuse, which doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate relationship. That can be a relationship of any kind.
Right. Speaking of intimate relationship, though, that's when financial or economic abuse can come in. I say this because economic abuse is a form of abuse when one intimate partner has control over the other partner. But not saying that's what Miss Carol was saying. Over the partner's access to economic resources. Just giving a little information there. Now, one thing I did want to speak about, though, was I was doing some research and I was thinking, what could be forms of emotional abuse? And one of the things that popped up was abandonment. Now, if you watched our other live, one of our lives, I think it was mental health, and you would know that I had to go to Stony Brook because of reasons. Go watch the other live, you'll know why. And in there, I had a lot of thinking, but one of the things I mentioned a lot was my relationship with TJ, my donor, my father. And it did hurt me emotionally. Abandonment can lead to emotional abuse. Since I would say first grade, actually, obviously there were pauses in between there. I don't usually get bullied, but first grade I had a bully. I know third grade I had a bully. Fifth grade I had a bully. So, what I'm trying to say is bullying, and if you watched one of our previous lives, you would actually know this. Bullying, well, I researched bullying can be a form of abuse, but people don't think of bullying as that bad until you mention something like that. Because when you think of bullying, it's like, well, it's not that bad. It's just somebody being disrespectful. But like I said before, abuse can be as little as being disrespectful. Bullying can lead to death, suicides, and even more. It's worse than it sounds and worse than it looks. Well, that's what I wanted to say. We gave two different definitions already of what abuse is.
I just want to touch base a little bit when you spoke on abuse. Excuse me. From a standpoint of abandonment, there's a lot of people in the world that deal with abandonment issues. First off, the topic of abuse is such a wide, broad topic, and this can be broken up into different segments, if you guys like, because we can, skate over different things, like he said, physical, mental, emotional, financially, like economically, or as he stated, and
verbally, emotionally.
So many different ways, as Carol has mentioned, in different relationships, what have you. So we can actually break this up in segments. Please let us know in the comments if you would like to email us. You guys know lovescompassion@gmail.com. You guys can email us and let us know if y'all want to elaborate, if y'all want to talk about this some more. We definitely can. That being said, I want to touch base or piggyback on what you were saying about abandonment, right? So a lot of us deal with abandonment issues for many different reasons. Jetty mentioned, and one of the things that he struggled with was the absentee father, right? His father abandoned him, as he stated. So that came with its share of abandonment issues, which, like he stated, already said, which comes with the emotional residue that's left behind, the emotional instability, the why not, me, because dude does have other kids and he's selectively within their lives but chose not to be in his. So of course that leaves, the questions of why isn't he good enough? Those are questions that you could ask yourself. Now, I myself dealt with abandonment issues for different reasons, right? So first off, for those who don't already know me or know me and my mom, we are in a great place at this time in our lives, and for that I am so grateful to God. But that took work. That took a lot of work. She did the best that she can with what she knew how when we were coming up. She was a young mom. My mother was 16 when she had me. I was born in July. She was 16 and she turned 17. So she was a kid who had a kid. We already know at the end of the day, children raising children is already just not a good look, but it's not an easy thing either. Like one of the things that I looked it up for a whole different reason, but now that I'm thinking about it here, our minds are not fully developed, right? So the human mind is not fully developed until you're like in your mid to late 20s, so 25 and up. The frontal lobe of what controls your behavior. Wait, where we got that at? Where we got it at? Oh, you know what? Here, I sent it to myself. How do you do this? Okay. The prefrontal cortex is one of the parts that's last to mature. This area is responsible for skills like planning, prioritizing, and making good decisions. So if my mom had me at the age of 16 and portion of her brain wasn't even fully developed to do what is necessary to take care of a living human being. You already know from the start we got issues, right? She's not even at a place where she can fully take care of herself. And now she has a human being that she's responsible for. So at that point, you go off of the things that you know, whatever that is. So you're a kid. She was in school, so she was tending to what she had to do as a school. You can see that comment. She was tending to what she had to do, as a student, as well as trying to be a mom. She was working, full time. She had whatever struggles she had with her parents. So again, she did the best that she can with what she knew. But at the age of 15, I went into foster care, right? It's not because my mom woke up one day and said, I'm putting you behind in foster care. It's just some things transpired. That's always in another episode we can talk about. I am very transparent with mine. I never have a problem with sharing my testimony with anyone, because I feel like if I went through it, it was not just for me, it was for someone else as well. So you guys want to hear that story again, put it in the comments, send it to us in an email. I am more than willing to sit down. We can have a whole talk. We can do a whole panel if you want, for people who've been in care, who's trying to make it or know someone. That's neither here nor there. I went into foster care at 15. Going into foster care at 15, even though everything that I stated, mom did the best that she can, mom was young when she had me, I can say these things now. I'm 40 years old. I can say these things now. At 15, I'm not thinking that. You're thinking, why'd your parent fail you? You're thinking, why am I in care? Even though I knew what my situation was, I knew why I was in care. It wasn't like, my mom selected to put me in there. I know what situations led up to that. At that same time, I didn't have my biological father in my life. So I did have like this little tiny chip on my shoulder because I didn't know the history of it all. So I was, like, where's my pops? He got these other kids, because I did hear he had other kids. He being a pops to them. Abandonment issues will have you operate in relationships differently than you would if you did not have said abandonment issues. So for me, when I walked into relationships, I walked in ready to walk out, because I was accustomed to people leaving. Between my pops not being there, going into care, so not having my mom around. At a young age, I was separated from my middle sister due to things beyond our control. So I had abandonment issues, like Jay said, and those things leave you with emotional ties that will cause you to either sabotage relationships or never let roots really settle in relationships, or you cling to people for the voids that you had from lack of relationships. That was just a piggyback on you mentioning abandonment being a form of abuse.
I would also like to say, believe it or not, there are some people out there who use different things against people as if like an excuse, like almost like, oh, well, I have this, so you don't understand, or like you don't know what I've been through. And it's not a good mindset, because who does that? Who goes around like, oh, well, saying something that was totally in the past, like that, even if it does matter now, it doesn't mean that somebody else should, depending on what it is, treat you differently. Because if you don't have some kind of special needs, then it's like you're still living. But anyway, we gave 2 definitions of abuse so far. In the Bible, it states that all violence, physical abuse, violence doesn't have to be physical, just physical as well, but all violence is considered an offense against God and against humanity. But there's a difference between violence and abuse versus defending yourself, either it's verbally or physically. As St. Paul says, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, oh my God.
You okay? You need me to read? Vengeance?
Vengeance is mine, I will repay, saith the Lord.
Can we read that straight through?
Because
you struggled there.
I did.
I'm going to try to read his handwriting, guys. Where am I starting from? Right here.
Mm-hmm.
As St. Paul says, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath. For it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Did you want to elaborate on that scripture? Did you want to tell us where it came from, as opposed to just saying the Bible? Like, do we know what scripture that is?
That's a great question.
So, in the future, we'll write this in the comments, guys. But in the future, when you write a scripture that you want to make reference to, just write which scripture it is. Okay? We'll write it in the comments once he tells us what it is. Go ahead and elaborate the way you wanted to on that, please.
Any form of violence, any form of abuse, like I said, or like I read, is an offense against God and humanity. I don't believe that it's human nature, and I shouldn't have to say that it's human nature, because that shouldn't even be a thing. Imagine saying, oh, well, it's human nature. Abuse is human nature. That's sad. Nobody goes around abusing people.
Nobody was
okay, well, I don't know about who nobody is, but it's sad that we even have to say that we know that some people
that
do.
It's normalized.
Right.
That it's normalized these days. That's sad.
It's not even rare. Like, it's
common.
Something, right, it's common.
But it comes from our foundation, right? So there's a book that I started writing. I'm very known for that. I'll start writing a book and I'll put it down and then I'll start writing something else, right? But I remember some of the texts within what I started writing where I express that, we learn, right? We learn from our surroundings, right? So I express how you can have a child that begins to learn in the womb. They begin to hear, right? At a certain, I put it in the text, I don't recall exactly, but they begin to learn by hearing the sounds. So if I'm in my mom's womb, right? And my mom is in a toxic environment. Let's say she might be in a toxic relationship, or she's in a household where there's violence and such, yes? So if the first thing that I'm beginning to hear is that of profanity, yelling, verbal abuse of different sorts, right? And then I'm born into that as well. So now when I come home from the hospital, that's also all I see. I see the same thing I heard. So now I'm going to have that memory of that hearing, right? I'm going to see the people who are supposed to be coveting me with love, right? I don't know what love is. I don't know what coveting is. This is the first thing I'm learning when I come into this world. The people I came into, that's holding me, that's giving me shelter, that's feeding me, they're cussing. They're throwing things at each other. Whatever that form of abuse or toxicity look like, right? That's what I'm learning. And if I don't have other sources around me to balance out or give me something else, it's all I know. It is my normal. You understand what I mean?
Yes.
So yes, it is very sad to say that that is normal, but you have a lot of people that can be their circumstance of what they're born into. That can be the peers that they have around them, right? They may not have positive influences around them. And then let's say I live in that environment, and then when I come out my door, you got the drug dealers on the corner, the corner boys. You got the hustlers that's here, the gangbangers that want to bring me in and offer me comfort. If this is my norm, if this is all that I know, it is normal for me. And yes, it's sad, but we don't have the balance anymore. We're born into abuse most of the time these days. You become your environment. Very true. So, unfortunately, and then to go back to some of the examples we gave, like we mentioned physical abuse or what have you, neglect. This falls into neglect, the abandonment issues that we spoke of. But would you believe that one of the worst abuses that one can experience is emotional and psychological abuse?
Yes. People may think like, oh, it's physical abuse, but that's not the case. because although physical abuse is physically hurting you, emotional abuse or psychological abuse is still affecting your mindset and your brain, and it can affect how you respond to things. So if somebody like raises their hand or something and you feel a way, or if somebody just says something or does something and you like feel a way, it's not good, because nobody should be uncomfortable with because of that. But because different things, like we said, abandonment can lead to emotional abuse, or like how you said, neglect.
You're talking about triggers.
Triggers, right? But how you said neglect, any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker, which can result in death, serious physical or emotional harm, sexual abuse.
Bro, you just bust out in definition like I did not know. I wasn't prepared. He just started talking like a book.
Is a form of neglection or neglect abuse.
Right.
Like it said, or can you sum this up for me? When it says any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker, what does it mean by that?
Okay, so I know personally, one of the things that I struggle with because of the schedule that I cannot control is I'm constantly feeling like I'm neglecting my children or I'm neglecting my family. So you stated, because I have it over here written a little different, right? So any recent act or failure to act, excuse me, on the part of the parent. For me, it would be more so of the failure to act, right? So your daily routine or your daily things that need to be taken care of. Food, right? Shelter,
Right.
clothing,
Right.
School. So making sure your schoolwork and everything is taken care of and such, right? Grooming, all those things. So I feel like it is, as long as you're a minor, regardless to you being mature enough to do these things, I still have a responsibility to you as your mom, right? So I feel like I'm neglecting you because of my long hours and stuff at work and my failure to be able to come and make sure that these things are done. Now, do I make sure they're done? Yeah, but I'm using devices and tools, right? So I'm getting on the phone on FaceTime and I'm following through and checking, right? Using the camera in the house to make sure that you're taking care of business and so on and what have you, right? Speaking to you when you get out of school, just following through. So I'm still doing it, but I always still feel like I'm neglecting you in a way, because, and that's my personal feelings, because I'm not physically there.
But just to like respond to what you were saying, it says that any recent act or failure to act on the part of a parent or caretaker. So the fact that you are going on the camera and the fact that you are FaceTiming me and making sure that I'm getting everything done, and the fact that you put clothes on my back and make sure I'm going to school and make sure that I have food to eat, you're still caring, which means you aren't neglecting me, because there are some parents out there who don't care and they don't do anything.
Thank you. Factual statement. I appreciate that. Someone asked, can we address how social media has the effect on our generation of this day? We actually discussed this in, was it mental health?
It was mental health.
Mental health. We actually discussed this. Please, Prophet Woods, if you reflect back, not to say we won't touch base on it, we will touch base on it at your request, but please go back to mental health, to our mental health video, either on the Facebook or on the YouTube. We did expound on social media affecting our children today.
And the big thing that we spoke about, and the big thing that came to mind when I read that comment was cyberbullying.
Right.
Because we spoke about bullying, but cyberbullying, you could be behind a computer, phone, whatever device, and say stuff just to make a person feel a way. Again, abuse.
Right.
Mental abuse, psychological abuse, which can lead to death. So tragic. Something so small. Something that seems so small could be so big.
One of the things that I expressed was, as parents, we have to be mindful of the way in which,
come on,
I'm sorry, I'm trying to read it. The way in which we as parents filter what our children are subjected to on social media, or what we allow them to read on social media. I had a talk with Jay because Jay wants to start a YouTube channel. Granted, we have our YouTube channel with Love's Compassion Ministries. Jay wants to start a YouTube channel of his own, putting out his own content and such. He also has a TikTok, and this is his second TikTok because his first TikTok got taken down due to people being haters. He actually had to turn off his comments because you had adults being, antagonizing him within under his posts and things. And he stands up for himself. One of the things that I love about both my boys is they've always stood up for themselves, even if someone spoke down about what they were doing being maybe age appropriate, oh, so kiddie, or whatever the case may be. They're going to stand up for what it is that they like. They're going to stand up for how they are, and they're going to call you out for coming for them out of place. So he did stand up for himself, letting them know, like, yo, I'm just a kid at the end of the day, so you wrong for even being in my comments, having an opinion the way in which you are. And he took off his comments so nobody else can come at him. But I did have a conversation with him, like, listen, once you put yourself out there on social media for people to see you, you open up the world's ability to cast opinions on you. And you need to be strong enough to handle when people come out of character, come out of pocket, talk to you crazy. He replied that, insert comment here. You've been so articulate, now look at your face.
Yeah, restart.
You don't have to say it verbatimly, but
No, I'm spaced out.
So you don't know what I was talking about?
Like,
welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining us. I was just telling the people that I had a conversation with you about having social media and you opening up yourself for judgment from people. And are you sure that that's something you can handle? And you responded,
well, I'm already starting on my new TikTok to get bullied, which is sad. I'm getting very negative comments on certain videos. B, I really don't care. If you watched our most recent live, our last live, then you would know how we said, keep it to yourself. And if you don't want to keep it to yourself, then I really don't care. And like she said, I stand up for myself. So, I'm not going to look at comments or, hear something and start getting all emotional and start crying. I might feel a way, yes, because nobody wants that. But, so I guess you could say, yes, I do care. It's just not like a big thing like, why would you do that? Where I'm going to start getting all emotional. I'm going to break down in tears. I'm going to have a whole mental breakdown. No.
That's no disrespect to those who are not built for that. There are grown people out there that's on live reality shows who have mental health issues after doing it because they're all in the comments and they're listening to people. So that's no disrespect for people who are not built for it. But I like to make sure mine is built for it before I expose him to this platform. So I had to make sure he was comfortable enough, and I check in and make sure he's good in the meeting between time. That being said, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover as it pertains to abuse. You, sir?
I've covered everything that I've written, everything that I've thought, everything that I've said. So yes, everything pertaining to abuse. But if you guys have any suggestions, comments, questions, please do now. Please write them now.
I will say one thing that I came across. I'm not going to elaborate on it. I'm just going to graze over it just briefly, right? So we discussed that, or Jetty mentioned one form of abuse is sexual abuse.
Rape.
So next to, I feel bad for anyone who experiences such, and my prayers are definitely with them because that's not something to easily come back from. He said rape if you didn't hear. What I didn't like is next to sexual abuse, it said the age of consent is 16 years old.
There shouldn't
16
be any consent,
years old. Mind you, the same internet that speaks saying that 16 years old is the legal consent is the one that says that the adult mind is not fully developed until they're in their mid to late 20s. So why should they be allowed to consent to their bodies being utilized sexually when it can lead to all types of life-changing endings or outcomes that they're not even mentally equipped for? But that's neither here nor there. We can talk about that on another episode. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for checking in. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for any shares that you guys put forth. At some point, Baby Boy's been mentioning he wants to get merch. He wants to get merch and put these things as ways to bring in revenue, because as you can see, we have the ring light, we have the devices. We love you too. We're looking to put our podcast on different streaming platforms. And we've learned there are some free ones out there, but to get the best of, which we pray to grow to, it will ultimately end up costing us some money. You can read that, Jay.
I will say this.
I will say this from what I see. Your son is being groomed as a voice for the voiceless. Keep putting out content, and as that passion hits you for the world, speak and watch God elevate you. Great show. Bless God. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. T, we love you as well. Jetty, that was from Prophet Woods for you. That comment that I just read.
Oh yes, thank you.
But Jetty would like for us to start getting merch. So if you guys have an interest in purchasing shirts and stuff, let us know. We will begin to create. My mouth's not working. We will begin to create merch for you guys. Any revenue that comes in will be used for an abundance of things like equipment, like the platforms that we will be subscribing to provide this, God willing, from my mouth to the Lord's ears, worldwide, not just on our YouTube following. And it is our hope to be able to help others. So when we reach that level, that's what you guys' donations and stuff will go towards. It's not always going to have to be monetary. If we need equipment and y'all got something that y'all ain't using, hey, let's get it. But at some point, we're going to put a link, what is it, like a Cash App link or something like that at the bottom of the videos. So stay tuned.
I would also like to say that
this one. As Dawn has mentioned, I do have a book. It's a book of spoken word called Broken But Not Defeated. It can be found on Amazon. You can purchase it on Amazon. I believe it's $15.99 on Amazon. Or you can inbox me, you can comment, you can send me an email and place the order through me. The order through me will be $20, but that's because we're going to cover your shipping and handling, and your book will be autographed. So if you guys want to purchase Broken But Not Defeated, which is a book of spoken word by yours truly, feel free.
also, since we are featuring things, I'm going to say this as if it's a commercial. Need a haircut. Come on down to Virtuous Cuts where we can give you a little snippy snip.
Bro, I am a woman of many talents. Yes, you can definitely find, you would say that when you need a haircut, right? You can definitely find me. There's actually an article that was written. Where is that? Y'all can see that. It's an article. Be careful picking that up, JJ. So I am a master barber. I do have my license. Can you see that? That ring light is serious. Oh yeah, there we go. All right. Here you go, Joe. You can put that back. So, as Jetty was saying, yes, I do cut hair. You guys can hit me up for that as well. I am what I call a mobile barber. I come to your home. So do know, when you go to the barbershop, yes, you may pay a certain amount. But if I'm coming to you, you're going to pay a different amount. But you're going to get what you pay for, right? If I bring everything to you, yes, it may cost you a little more, but you're in the comfort of your own home. You don't have to leave. You jump in the shower afterwards and all that good stuff. So if you're within, the 5 boroughs, hit me up. Or Long Island.
We will be putting contact information that you can contact us on, which is email and number. If you have anything important that you want to talk about, that maybe anything that we'll suggest, any topics that you want us to talk about, because, sometimes we have a hard time brainstorming these things. So we would love your help.
The phone number, I was trying to think of the phone number. The phone number also, we always tell people that you guys can send in topics of requests, comments, suggestions, prayers, if you want prayers. 347-699. You want to look it up to make sure I'm giving the right number? 347-699-5722. I am almost positive that is the number. Hold on. That sounds crazy to say. One more time for the people. How do I work this phone? Oh, this is the business phone. It's not my go-to. So yes, that is definitely, the number is, as I stated, 347-699-5722. You can leave us comments, send suggestions, prayers. We're definitely here for it. We appreciate you. Thank you again for tuning in. Be sure to share this video, like it, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live, and you know when we make new posts. Love you guys.
Love you.
Ta-ta for now.